Hey, give me a sec, okay? Sorry. I seem to have not connected to where's the Zoom audio device? Preferences, way back, audio. Okay. It's really strange. I think they should just pick it up from the operating system rather than saying, I detected like 5 hardware devices. Which one do you want to pick, right? Then I have, if every application did that, then I'll have to remember, oh, well, for this application, that's the setting. But the most common use case for apps is that, you want to mirror what the operating system says the user wants. So I think it is a bad decision. In case you design a product later on, I think this kind of a decision is a bad decision, um, where you're kind of circumventing someone who has your back. The operating system has your back, right? When we program, many times, I think in CS2A, you should all feel free to switch on your cameras, by the way, okay? Yeah, switch on your cameras. And yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah, no, what was I saying anyway? I forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, so today, here is my plan for today. And we can also do an initial part where it looks more like a lecture. Yeah. And then, get into live coding because some of you said, you want a mixture of lecture. I know we can try that, okay? Because, the lectures tend to be bland, but essentially it'll be like, well, what we're going to use a while loop or we're going to use a loop, and this is the structure of the loop, and this is what it looks like, right? And then I'll, throw in some pointers about, but anyway, before we even start talking about loops, here's what I'm thinking, yeah? Why don't we not talk about loops until everybody is comfortable with what we've got so far? Okay, because I know that last class it was a blast. Lots of people seem to have had a great time, especially playing around with the spreadsheet and you know trying to build that into the C++ and all. But still, I think that if some of you are a little shaky on the concepts that we had talked about last week, I'm more than happy for us to do it again. Maybe the same thing or slightly different. We can just do the grid calculation because I think it is pretty straightforward and you all already had a good feeling for that. And I think who was the last person who coded last week? Was it Daniel? Hey, Daniel, is Daniel here? I don't know. Does anybody remember who the last person was who coded last week on Thursday? No? All right. Well, okay. I'm pretty sure it's in the recording. So
It was Dre, I think.
who was it?
Dre, Andre.
Oh, Dre. Yeah, he's not here. He's not. Is he here? I don't know. This is all the people. Yeah, more of you have got to start showing up at these classes too. Yeah. Yeah, Dre was the person who got it last. Anyway, but I'm pretty sure other people also have Wesley has a spreadsheet and he can share the spreadsheet. I think he also shared it in the forums. So you can, if you want, someone
Eric,
else.
I emailed it to everybody.
Yeah. Oh, you emailed it, did you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
to the Canvas
Yeah.
group
Yes,
mail.
yes, I remember it. I saw the email. Yeah. So I just confused it with a Reddit post. Um, so what I'm thinking is that maybe someone else who wants to do exactly the same thing. Okay. Because I know that some of you are still working on quest number 2, which is to do with arithmetic expressions. Is number 2 on arithmetic expressions? Like you have the limerick and all? Yeah. Yeah, okay. So you're working on plus minus, quantities being added together, and being wary of parentheses and precedence rules, and also data types, right? So where you have, integers and floats mixed together, and where you can accidentally assign a float to an integer and lose the fractional part. So all of those you'll encounter in the programs, but it won't be a surprise to you because you have a background in data representation. You can actually see. that, hey, you know what? When I assigned a float to an int, I lost the fractional part, bam, like that. I only ended up with the whole number. Okay. And well, I guess you can make sense of it in a Python-y kind of way too. But now you know exactly what the hell is going on, which is kind of cool. Yeah. And in fact, knowing exactly what's going on is that you'll, even when you cut the code, it'll all automatically fall into place without you having to consciously put them in there. Right. So how about this? Anyone today, anyone who wants to code the same thing, we can do it. Okay. If not, or maybe even towards the end of the class, or in the second half of the class, I'm thinking we can program a small game. It's not going to be more than 50 lines of code, I think, right? This is the game that I was thinking about before. So when my kids were little, there was this toy called Bop It. Okay, and then you have to do that, twist it. When it says twist it, you got to twist it. When you say bop it, right? Okay, so I actually got pretty good at it. Okay, yeah, almost as good as my kids. Anyway, so so I'm thinking that we can actually write a version of that, okay, in under, I don't know, 50 lines of code, 60 lines of code, yeah, which is going to interact with us on the terminal. And I think we're going to use all of the skills that we used last week, which is, branching and all of those things, right? Plus, I think I think the time is ripe to introduce two more new things, okay? And the two things I'm going to introduce, I don't think you'll find them in any class really, because it's really not part of any syllabus. But I am thinking, well, C++ is the protein that you need to take from this class. Protein by itself is tasteless. So I want to throw in some other nuggets which have like salt and sugar and things like that, so it actually becomes tastier. Okay, so I'm going to throw in a couple of Unixy functions, right? So, or functions that are not generally introduced in any C++ text, or even classes out there. But I think by throwing those in, it's just a couple of pages of documentation. You just have to read it when you have time. But it's easy to understand what they do anyway, because we're going to be using them. But I think by using them, you make this incredibly huge amount of broth that you have to consume for the protein tasteful. Okay, so you won't have, because now I think everything you learn from now on, you would be able to play using those two things thrown in to turn it into something that's interesting. Okay, otherwise, there's just drudgery you need to get through, right? Oh, this does this, this does this, this does this. Okay, well, if I come across a hypothetical problem in the future, I can assemble these things and solve it. Yeah. Okay. So that is I think is a boring way to master something, because you don't even have a problem and you're saying, okay, I'm in the future, I'm going to have a problem, which is already a very pessimistic view of yourself, right? And I'm going to use the skills I learned how to solve that problem. Okay. I think the better, more interesting view is to say, well, you know what, I'm going to learn some skills and I'm going to apply them right now, right? So I'm going to keep on doing these problems and solving these problems. So you can generate, you can develop a taste for solving problems too. Believe it or not, I think that is a taste. Okay, because when you're faced with a problem, I think you have a choice. Either you can say, I'm going to tackle it and get to the root of it and get it out of the way, or you can say, well, what, can I find a way around it? Well, surprisingly enough, good computer scientists, good mathematicians, I think, good people, executors in general, I think are generally people who tend to not face the problem. Okay, but I think I said that before, saying good programmers are not the ones who know how to solve every problem, but they know how to get around the problems. But I thought about that maybe after that, and I think that that's not putting it front, square, and center. I think a more accurate statement would be sometimes you just want to solve a problem, to get to the bottom of it and see what the hell is there. But you don't want the joy of solving the problem to be in the way of something else that the solution depends on, right? So, I might as well get the solution. I'll use the shortcut or something else to get to the solution, but I still want to get to the root of the problem. Okay. So I think that is the, a sentiment I was driving towards. Maybe those words didn't capture it. But anyway, so that's what we'll go for. Okay. So we'll try and do these things with these two new ideas thrown in. Using these two new ideas, we'll be able to, well, actually 3 ideas, but for today, we only need to do 2 of these things. And I think it'll make for a much more joyful experience with what we have to learn next, because we've got to learn loops. And obviously, I could do the lecture style loops, which is to say, well, you know what, loops come in like 10 different flavors, right? You can use a for loop, blah, 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 all right, or and this is what the format of the loop is and where the brace is, and yeah, okay, this it's very, very dry. I think what we'll do is that I'm going to only introduce one or two, right? Unlike in a lecture where you say, well, this is loops and these are all the different ways of doing it. What I'll do is that I'm going to show you one way of doing loops very well, okay? And so you get a general idea of what loops do, and that you can consider to be the lecture component. But after that, you're going to apply that in a program to generate an effect that we want to see, okay? Yeah, honestly, I haven't even I don't know if it's going to work, but I think it should work, okay? Because I can't see any big bottlenecks in my mind, but I think it'll work. And I think it should be less than 50 lines of code, probably 50 lines of code or less. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so it should be fun. It'll use all of the skills that we've learned so far, plus in addition, the looping. Okay, in fact I will introduce the easiest form of loops. Okay, it's going to be the infinite while loop. Okay, infinite while loop. And I think it is good for me to introduce the infinite while loop because you will never ever get to encounter the infinite while loop in any other class, because there are instructors even today who discourage students from using infinite loops. Okay, it's bad practice and things like that. Okay, now I don't know. All right, you should follow good sense all the time, and sometimes good sense goes against established practice, and you got to choose, like the if statement I was talking about last class, right? So the policy and it says it has to go like that, indent everything everywhere, right? But sometimes you have to let the aesthetics or the readability of the program override these things, so that it's not mechanical. So from time to time you have to. That's why that's the difference. Where I think maybe with AI and music can sound more right, but we know where to emphasize and where to de-emphasize. That actually comes with practice, and you'll get that here. Okay, right. So what we'll do is do that. Now, tell me who wants to do the same spreadsheet thing one more time. Perfectly fine with me. Yeah, Dre, you were the last. Okay, so you should just basically just nominate someone. However, before we do that, let's just decide if we want to go on to try implementing this game. Yeah, and we'll basically start from a blank slate. Okay, blank slate. Nothing there, online GDB, and then do it from there. I hope it works. Yeah. Yeah. I think, I will, someone should basically look at the spreadsheet and do exactly the same thing as we did last class. So who wants to do what? Okay. So how about we see thumbs up for, if you want to do the same thing as last class, give me a thumbs up, right? Even if you see one thumbs up, we're going to do that. Okay. Otherwise, we'll say, we'll go on and do the other one. Yeah, with loops, right? So is there anybody who wants to do the spreadsheet, the calculation in the program? No? Everybody happy with that? Great, great. Okay, I am very pleased to see that. Okay, because we did cover a lot of concepts, and also the program was very long, long nested, and I think in the other thing we also covered with the complex if conditionals and all, so which was really cool. All right, great. So anyway, so what we're going to do then is just go on to implement the game that we'll call it Zap It, okay? Instead of Bop It, we'll call it Zap It, okay? So Dre is going to nominate someone who's going to start implementing this game. And at some point, at any point, okay? So the person who's been nominated is coding with me. It doesn't matter, even if it's in the middle of a sentence and I'm talking, you can say, stop, I want to tag someone else, okay? So even if it's like in the middle of a function, you can say, well, I want to take a break and go to the bathroom, right? So I'm going to tag, let's say, Mazen here. I just pass it on, right? And Mazen better be ready at that time, right? So everybody's got to be ready, because anyone can tag anyone at any time and leave. How is that? Okay, I think that'll be really cool. So that everybody will have to, I think the easiest thing to do is just follow along with whoever's coding and have your own browser window open and do what they're doing. Okay, and I think that will be easy. And also, as you're typing it, you should also feel free to, if things are moving too fast and you think that, oh my gosh, if I'm going to be the next person to be called, I don't know if I can handle it. So let me pause and ask a question so that, the speed is reduced. Okay. So there's a more incentive for you now to say, hey, wait a sec, guys, why did we do that? Okay. So you have to ask these questions. Otherwise, you might be the next person and you might be stuck. Okay. So I think, all of these things, I read people writing about this in the forums, and lots of people, more than two or three people, have said it's nerve-wracking. Okay, and it's a difficult experience. Really, you should not feel like that at all, because at the end of the day, it's just us, and at the end of the day, you're not going to remember any of these. So think about this, okay? After a long time, when you look back, you're all young guys, you don't know this, right? But when you look back and you try to remember many of the people in your lives, you actually don't remember most of the people who either looked up at you or down at you. Think about it, right? So you only remember people with whom you had co-appreciated something beautiful, saying, wow, that was really fantastic. That was awesome. Here's a proof why it works. How does it work, right? And these things you actually jointly discover and appreciate with someone and say, wonder at it. Those are the people you actually end up remembering over a long time, right? So otherwise, all the other people will just pass. So you don't have to worry about something. So all you have to do, I believe, is just, forget it. And I'm not even putting these up on public YouTube. It's just us. And just cut loose, okay? And say, screw it. I'm just going to, play around and play the fool with the code. And, yeah, I don't have to worry, because if I'm stuck, someone's going to tell me what the next character is going to be. So I can actually be in blind typist mode too. So just give yourself to it. And you'll feel that it basically just, even if you're typing in autopilot mode, suddenly it just snaps and say, you're not an autopilot anymore. Because, you think you're on autopilot, but, sometimes something goes wrong and you can tell. So that means you're not an autopilot. Yeah. So I've had students do that all the time, and they start off doing things automatically, not automatically, but I have to tell them every single character. But I keep watching them, and all of a sudden they just take off. I mean, they don't have to wait for me to say what the next thing is, and it happens to everyone. So, just say, I remember it was like when teaching my kids how to ride a bike. Yeah, you just behind them, and they think you've got their back, really. If the bike won't fall, but you hold on at a point, you leave them, and they just go. Yes. Okay, so that's how it's going to be. And obviously it's going to be a little scary at first, to look back and say there's nobody, but yeah, I'm going to be there all the time, right? And then besides, not just me, all of your classmates are here too. So I think that's what it is. You should take advantage of it. Think about it. I don't think I'm going to offer it. Well, 2A, I'll probably offer more times. Yeah, 2B and 2C, very limited, right? So I'm going to retire soon. So you should take total advantage of these things, I think, right? And get to the bottom of these. Well, I don't know, maybe there'll be other sections that do something like this. I think Lane is actually working on something that is similar to the questing system, so maybe that will be there at Foothill, right? After I go to, even otherwise, questing will be available. I'm sure some people will be running the Genius Institute and all, but it won't be part of. I don't expect it'll be part of a course at Foothill like now. Yeah, because I'm actually running this course using questing system. But certainly you should try your very best, while you have it now, because of all of the developments. Really, you should look at these as investments of people's time. All of the students who have gone before you, they've gone through this, built up a body of knowledge, which you shouldn't look at, right? Sometimes I look at your reflections and say, well, today is hard, maybe more in 2B and 2C. This week was hard, but fortunately I found the solutions in past Reddits. That is the last thing you should say, because especially when the syllabus says you're not supposed to do that. And you shouldn't do that. I'm not saying you shouldn't say that, but obviously, and for that reason, I'm not penalizing you for saying that. But really, you're not getting the most out of this thing, or the investment of. I think you get more out of this if you solve it on your own, develop an appreciation of the problem, yeah, and then go back to the past and look at other people who've solved the same thing. And then, even though they're not there physically present with you, you can share the sense of appreciation of that problem. Now, it's not just with questing. Any field you take, right? Any field you take, as long as you're not looking for the solution from someone and following their directions verbatim, one after another, and saying, well, okay, I did exactly what they said, it works. Yeah? Okay, so that doesn't get you to the bottom of the field. But I think any field you take, you say, you know what, it doesn't matter, but I've heard it once, or this is how it sounds, or this is what I'm going for in this field. I'm going to try and do this myself. And you're stuck with doing a proof and you can't do it. After a month, you find the proof, right? And then you say, all right, now let me look at all the other publications to say what they've done. Unless, of course, you're under the gun and say, oh, you got to do this in the next 3 days. There's no reason you should hurry anymore. Anyway, so that is my 2 cents. So it looks like nobody wants to do the if statement, the thing from the spreadsheet stuff from last class. Okay, so I think what we'll do is, Dre will just nominate someone, live coding, and we will go with that person doing online GDB, and we'll start coding that Zapit game, right? A pretty cool game, a name anyway. So hope it lives up to its name. Okay, Zap. Droid, you should go ahead, just name someone who you want to be the live coder today. Okay, anyone from the screen. Well, is that all the people? Yeah, it says 19. It says 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 15, and yeah, 19. That's including me. Yeah. Well, the strength is, well, the total strength of the class has dropped, but it's not too bad. Yeah, if there's things I can do to, make it easier for you, well, I'm not going to cut any slack, but certainly make it easier for you to learn the stuff, you should let me know, rather than say, this is no point, I'm going to drop, right? So if there's anything that I can do to prevent you from dropping, you should let me know. And because there is a lot of stuff that Foothill has invested in, the STEM Center and so many things that we've put some money into to make sure that students succeed. In fact, the STEM Center used to be called STEM Success Center, meaning that there are students who come to Foothill and who could easily get, the top in any field, but they're not able to because of certain life circumstances, and so the STEM Center is available there. Not just the STEM Center, lots of other people, a lot of the departments. I think you got to do some research to find out. I know at least the STEM Center, right, is there to say, we'll take care as much as possible of those other situations that are bothering you, so you will be free to focus on the learning, right? So if you didn't have food, for example, I think there's a place, food pantry or something like that. They'll get food. If you're not able to pay for a personal tutor, the STEM tutors who will just sit with you and say, because if you look for computer science tutors online, they cost like 90 to 100 bucks an hour. They'll come and sit with you at, the Berkeley Library or Los Altos Library and work with you for 1 hour, right? And it's 100 bucks, and you can find them online. Lots and lots of places. But the STEM Center has these free ones for you, right? So in fact, there was an email from the department from maybe the vice president sharing some resources for many things, including housing and so on. I'll try and find it and share it on Canvas, but you just have to know, because all these resources support services. Okay, so that is our goal. Everyone should be there. Dre, nominate someone who you think might actually struggle. Okay. Don't go for, I don't know, it doesn't matter. And we should just cover everyone. Just nominate someone, and then as we go forward, the next person to be nominated should not be someone who has coded before, and including Dre, because he coded last class. Go ahead.
I nominate Mazen.
Who is this? Sorry, Mazin. Are you saying Mazin? Mazin Syed? Are you ready to code?
Yep.
Great. Okay. All right. So in your mind, you have to make up who the next person to code is also. So just go to online GDB, share your Safari window. Yeah. And, your browser window, incognito mode, and go to onlinegdb.com, delete everything, and we'll just start from scratch. Fill in the template, the usual stuff, right? And then we'll go to, after you do that, we'll go to the top. Well, let's do the top comments first, okay? So yeah, all right, go for it, Corey. Complete that. Everybody should be doing that, okay? Everybody do this on your own. Hey, Mazen, dismiss the blue panel on the left so you have more room. And okay, I can read it. Can see all of you now. No, I can see all of you. I can read it. Okay, and then a blank line and say return 0 at the end. So that is our basic program. Now let's go to the top. Yeah, return 0. Yeah, semicolon. All right, now let's go to the very top, add comment. Yeah, sorry, yes, Caitlin?
I think you're supposed to select the language first. C++.
Ah, yes, thank you,
Yeah.
Caitlin, right? Yeah, yeah, I think, thank you. I think when we do that, it also does the right coloring and syntax. Hey, what is that red dot? Does it also do debugging now or something? Oh, wow, it does have debug. I don't remember seeing that debug, the blue debug button before. I think debugs means it just go to that line and stop there. You see that red dot in the margin? I'm not, yeah, I didn't remember seeing it before. Oh, you clicked there and it just, that's how it came there?
It just kind of.
Oh, never mind. Never mind. Okay, all right, now go to the very top, line number 1, open a comment, and we're going to say today's class code, and today's date, today's class code, and what's the date today? 23rd. Yeah, Jan 23rd, 2023. 12323. Yeah. And on the next line, continue the comment. We're going to code a game called a Zap It. No, not a name, right? Game called Zap It. Yeah, and Zap It is one word. Okay, Zap It. Yeah, one word, right? In this game. Next line, you can say, yeah, all right, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, in this game, we will get shown a number and asked to type it in. Okay, a random number between 1 and 5. Let's say, yeah, 1 and 5, and asked to type it in.
Next one.
Example, give me 5, right? Give me 5, right? So the prompt, the example, the prompt will be give me 5, right? Give me 5, GIMME, right? So yeah, just type it in, GIMME, FIVE, right? No, let's say all caps. Let's try all caps. All caps, FIV. No. Gimme is okay. Gimme is okay. And then all caps for 5, right? Okay, right? And then colon, and then space. Now, colon and then space. All right. So now on the next line, you can say, oh, you know what? In this game, we will get shown a number and asked to type it. Include, what does that include mean?
I'm sorry, you were saying something and I missed it, so I just.
Oh, I see. Yeah, all right. So, for example, yeah, you can say, for example. Yeah, for example, give me 5, right? So, no, before the, yeah, give me 5, say, for example. Yeah. All right. Now the user has to type the number 5, right? Now the user has to type the number 5. The number 5, right? 5, yeah, number 5. Now on the next line, we will measure the time it took between printing the prompt and the user's entry. Now, this part is the bit that is going to be fun, okay? And it requires a call to a function, which I think is useful to know anyway, okay? It's not part of the syllabus, but I think it will, grease your way to learning these loops because, right? What we're going to do, and tell me if any of this is unclear to anyone, okay? So we have an activity, and we want to know how long that activity took. Now, after this, People who understand it need to give me a thumbs up. Otherwise, we're not moving. Okay. So there is an activity. Let's say call a function and the function is done. We want to know how long the function took. This is going to be, you're going to be doing this lots and lots of times. You know, in CS2B, CS2C is basically going to be the core of computer science, measuring how long a function took. Yeah. All right. Now, how do you measure how long a function took? One way to do it is to look at the clock before the function starts. Look at the clock immediately after the function stopped, right? Returned. Now, this will be greater than that, right? As time has gone, time has elapsed. So subtract that value from this value. That is the amount of time elapsed. Yes? Okay. All right. Now, what we're going to do, however, in this game is that, 1 second is a long time for people to, type 5. So what we're going to do is in the very first beginning level, we'll give them 1 second. But that time is going to shrink, right? As you go down the levels and it gets harder and harder, you only get half a second to say, oh, give me 5. You got to type 5 and hit enter, right? Because it's going to measure the time. If you take more than whatever that time is, you're out. So same as that Bop It game, right? So every time it tells you got to keep on the ball and keep doing that. And well, that is the logic. Now, that is what we're shooting for. This is what we've got to measure. And this is the overall logic of the game. Can everyone give me a thumbs up who understands what we're shooting for and how we measure the time of something, right? Give me a thumbs up. If you do, we'll move on and actually do this implementation. When we move this, all right? Yeah, Seth also, yeah, okay. Chloe, Chris, Sanatan? No, maybe you all did, and then it's not showing up. Okay. Hey, James, are you here? James? Josh and Wendy, right? I don't know if you guys are here, okay? I saw Wesley before, but I haven't seen the 3 of you. So I don't know if you're logged in, okay? All right, Josh, give me a thumbs up. James? Okay, all right. Well, maybe he's taking a break or something. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. Now, what was it? Okay, all right. So go to main. You put a blank line after that. We'll put a blank line after all the comments. Yeah. All right. So go to main, and in main, we're going to say inside of main. No, inside of the body of main, right before the return. 1 line below. Yeah. Enter. Right. Now we're going to do just print a welcome to print a prompt like welcome to the Zap It game, right? Welcome to the Zap It game. Welcome to the Zap It game. Everybody should be doing that, okay? This is all fun. It could be your own greeting. It could be different. Yeah, Zap It game, and then an exclamation mark after that. Exclamation mark, and then don't forget an endl, right? Endl. Right now, what we want to do is after the curly brace, hit enter. And no, after the opening curly brace, hit enter. And you want to say int level equals 0, okay? Or level equals 1. Let's start with level 1, okay? Level 1. Level equals 1. Okay, enter. Okay, right now, and then now go to the end of the endl line, right? Line 16 and hit enter. Now, I think what we want to do is use the structure called an infinite loop, okay? An infinite loop is a loop in which the condition is always true. Now, the general structure of the while loop, since this is the kind of looping we're using now, is called the while loop, okay? And the format of the while loop is on line 17, so, type while, right? And open parentheses, right? And in here, you're going to say some kind of Boolean condition should go in there. So we'll just say some Boolean condition goes in there. How do you do that within comments? We're going to use a block comment, okay? So block comment is / and then a star, / and a star, which means it is the same as a comment, except that, it'll stop when it'll see the opposite of that, okay? You'll see this, okay? / no, it's actually / it's actually practiced in the other form of comments too, right? And then a star, right? And then space, Now everything that goes after that is a comment now. The comment meaning the compiler doesn't care. So space, I say some kind of a condition, or a Boolean condition, meaning it evaluates to true or false. Okay, some kind of a Boolean condition, yeah, goes here. Yeah, and then you can also, does everybody understand what a Boolean condition is? A Boolean condition is something that, evaluate everything, and the final number is a Boolean, meaning a Boolean only has a truth value, true or false, right? If it has a numeric or an arithmetic value, then it could be anything. It could be a number, it could be a float, it could be, right? It could have many values, but a Boolean only has these two true and false values. So something that evaluates to a Boolean is basically a logical expression, because a logical expression, after you evaluate it, simplify it, it is either true or false. Yes? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right. Thank you, Paul. Right? So, and so that is what a Boolean expression is. A Boolean expression, or a condition, right? A condition that evaluates to a Boolean expression. Right. Now, before the closing brace, close off the comment, right? Close off the comment with, before the closing brace, before the closing parentheses. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. So sorry for all the stammering here. Okay. Yeah. There you go. It says star and then forward slash. Okay. Star and forward slash. Okay. That is called a block comment. Now, what we're going to do, yeah. All right. So that is a while loop with a comment. Now you see there's no error flagged anywhere. That means it's syntactically right yet, right? So far, just comment that out now. Comment the whole line out now. That is just an example for us, just a learning point as we're going through this. So the next line is actually just going to be while true, right? So comment this line out, put comments on the beginning of this line. We don't need this line. It's just to explain what a while loop is. So on the next line, yeah, okay, just get rid of it. Yeah, clean it up and say while true, while true, while true. All right, and then curly brace there at the end, curly brace at the end, space curly brace is nicer. Yeah, space curly brace, right? And then a blank line under that. Yeah, we put a couple more blank lines and then close the curly brace. Okay, that is the body of the loop, and that is going to be the body of our game. Okay, so yeah. Oh, you want to put it there? Okay, that's fine. Right, a couple more blank lines and then close the curly brace. Okay, and that's where our game is going to live. Now, the first thing, as soon as you get into the while loop, I think what we'll do is,
Can I tag someone right now?
yeah, absolutely, Mazen, go for it.
I'll tag Christopher.
Christopher, are you there, Chris? We actually had two Chris's in our class too. Yeah, I think there's another Chris too. Hey, Chris, you're ready? Are you ready to code? You actually did code in the first class or something. Well, you were a hex.
Yeah,
You did some hex stuff. You did some hex stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay. You can code now. You can tag someone in a little while. How about that?
Okay.
No. I mean, Mazen, Chris can code now and he can tag someone else in a little while.
Oh, got it. So do I stop share?
No, wait until Chris takes over. Hey, Chris, you ready to take over? I can't hear him at all. Hey, Chris, I can hear you. Are you here?
Oh, my mic was muted. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
it's
Are you
saying
ready?
you cannot start. You
Yeah.
cannot start
He's gotta
screen
leave.
sharing. Wow.
He's gotta
Yeah.
leave. Hey, before you leave, hey, Mazen, share that URL, okay? That orange button, so that Chris can pick it up and fork the code so that he can just continue with that. I think that would be a nice way to do it. Yeah.
So,
Again, the orange button. And then, yeah, that URL, share it in the chat window so Chris can pick that up. And then after you pick that up, Chris, share your terminal and your window, and you have to click the fork this button, otherwise it won't let you edit it. Whenever you're ready. Yeah.
Do you mind if I just continue off of mine, or do you want me to click his?
Yeah, you can continue off yours. Yeah, cool.
Okay.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize everybody has their own copy of this thing. That is cool. In fact, that is a better way to do it. We'll just go off your copy. All right. So here, I think what we'll do is, well, we'll forget about level for now. what we'll do is we'll have to select a random number between 0 and 5. So one thing again, which is not part of CS2A, but adds juice to the whole thing, this is randomness. We want to control, this is the few things that we want to get control over to get some juice in these things is how can I inject some randomness into my programming? Because, otherwise, if you don't have randomness, there's no game in it, okay? So we're going to find out how to get randomness. That's one, and we're going to use that now. The other is how can I inject some delays into my programs? Because otherwise you run the program and it's done, done like that, yes? Most of the time. So you want to inject some delays. So if you have delays, then you can do fun things like animations, things moving around on screen, because then it'll happen in human time. So that is another thing that, it's not usually there. We'll throw it in so that it'll be interesting. And the third is, can you measure time between different things so that you can measure response times of users? And that allows you to inject more of a game element to your programs, even though these programs are, programs you write in dumb terminals and just run on online compilers like this, online GDB, yeah? So that is what we're going to do. So we're going to on line 16, go to line 16 and hit enter. Or, go to line 16 and start a comment. Line 16. Yeah. Oh, no, enter. Actually, so I'm sorry. I didn't say the right thing before. Go to line 16 and hit enter. I'm sorry, Chris. Yeah. Line 16, because inside of the body. No, inside of the body. Go. Oh, I'm sorry. You get one more. Get rid of the blank line there. Yeah, go to line 16, hit enter. Okay. Okay, so now put a comment there saying generate a random number between 0 and 5. Now, who would like to take a crack at how to do this? Okay. Now, I'll show you. So there is a function called a rand, and you will be using this function, quest number 6 maybe. Starting from quest number 6, or in quest number 6, you'll have to use rand. Now, in order to use rand, we need to use a library. So we'll just put it there in place, and then I'll come back and explain this. Okay, go to the line number 8 and hit enter after hash include IOStream. Yeah, after that, hit enter. After the very end, hit enter. And I think the library to use the rand function is hash include the standard library. Okay, so hash include hash. No, not slash hash.
Wait, which one's a hash?
Shift 3. Yeah, include. And it's CSTDLIB, okay? C standard library. Okay, and then we'll put a comment there just to make sure that people actually, and then again, it's got to be within angle brackets. All of these standard libraries, all the ones that are in part of the system, they're within these special brackets called angle brackets. And we got to be mindful of 3 or 4 places where the syntax is kind of different from what you're used to in other languages. Most of the other places, very similar. Yeah.
Did you say CS library?
CSTDLIB, right? CSTDLIB, and the whole thing has got to be within angle brackets, just like IOStream. Okay. Yeah, angle brackets less than, and then close, and then put a comment. Is a few spaces and then a comment. And I think this is required. And someone should do some research, Google around, and find out if this is not required. Maybe it's part of something, right? For rand, okay, for rand. Now, while we're at this, we'll do one more thing, which will actually a couple more things which we'll need for this game. Okay, so on the next line, for rand. No, rand, and then open close. Open close means no, not angle brackets. Open parentheses, close parentheses. Open no. After rand, say open parentheses and then close parentheses. Yeah, right. So on next line, you say hash include. What else we got? C time, right? It's a clock. Okay. So yeah, a hash include ctime.h, right? I think it's just ctime. Angle bracket ctime. No, I think it's ctime.h. Yeah, ctime.h. We'll figure out. We'll have to do some Googling if this doesn't work. And then for the comment, you'll say for clock for clock. For clock, and then open close, just like for rand. These are the things that we're going to use in the code so that it will be, simpler when we get around to using it. On the next line, you're going to say sleep. Actually, we don't need sleep. Actually, we don't need sleep for this function, this game, because we just need yeah, okay, that's it. Okay, those are the only two. In fact, put a blank line after IO stream so that these two includes are separate from that. Yeah, and then remove one of the blank lines afterwards. There you go. Right, now let's go back into the while loop. Generate a random number between 1 and 5. Okay, so now you can say int my rand equals on the next line, on the next line, int. Now here
This is a
the
comment
thing.
or
Oh, by the way, hey, Andrew, you should also call this out, okay? This is an interjection, call this out. I just happened to see your message in the chat because it just flashes by. So Andrew said, don't forget to say using namespace. Isn't that what you said, Andrew?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you just call it out. It's actually much, and in fact, with more voices in the mix, I think the video is also more pleasant to listen to.
Okay.
Rather than just me blabbering on and on and on. Yeah, all the time. So with more voices, it's always more pleasant too. Yeah. So people should feel free to talk and just interject. Okay. So you say before main, go to line 12 and hit enter. Go to line 12 and hit enter. Yeah. And I say using namespace standard. Okay. Using namespace standard and then say semicolon and then hit enter. Yeah, namespace is one word. Namespace is one word. And then little u, not big U there. Okay, std. Using namespace std semicolon semicolon enter semicolon and then enter. No, not colon. Okay, so now what this tells me is that you need practice. Okay, so anyone, not just the people who are typing now, and so this time it's Chris. Maybe it was someone else, and if you find yourself falling back on Python syntax, for example, yeah, omitting braces or indenting in a different way, right? That means all it means is that if you go back and correct it, you just need more practice. So just find situations where you can hack some existing program. Take a version of the program we wrote in class today and try and write a different version of it. Say, well, you know what? You'll find a zillion different ways you can take variation. So keep doing that. At some point, it'll just come naturally to you. And it doesn't mean that when you go back to Python, you'll forget that. It's not. The funny thing is, when you are in Python mode, you'll be in Python mode. When you're in C++ mode, you will be in C++. You won't be cross. It's only at the time of the beginning times that these things are confusing. That's what I find. Okay, for all of the students who are doing both classes or done one class and come to this, and so on and so forth, that is what I find. So you don't have to worry that if you get too deep into this syntax, you'll fail in your 3A. Apparently not. Okay, so. I hope.
And if I can help, I believe it's not C time, but it's just time.h.
Oh, thank you so much, Paul. Thank you. All right. So Paul said it is not C time.h, it is just time.h. Yeah, it's just time.h. No. Yeah, see. Okay, great. Now generate a random number between 1 and 5. So all we're going to do here is generate a random number using rand, which gives you a random number between 0 and 32767. Does anybody recognize this number 32767? Why it is so, what is so magical about this? Well, what is so strange about this 32767?
Number of bits in a byte.
Yes, it is actually related to the number of bits in a byte. It is 2 to the 7. No, it is 2 to the 16, 2 to the 15. 2 to the 15. Yes, that is because rand, the library function rand, returns a random number using 16 bits, meaning it generates 16 individual random events, 1 or 0. So it generates uniform distribution. So it gives you 16 bits. However, for historical reasons, it returns an integer, not an unsigned integer. Okay. So here, going back to our classes in data representation, you can appreciate the difference here. So back in the day, it was returning an integer An integer is a signed integer, which means even with 16 bytes, 16 bits, it can only go to 32767 because it goes from negative 32768 to positive 32767. Do you remember all that in data representation in week 1? Yeah. Okay, so rand returns an integer, although it returns 16 bits. But the maximum value it returns is 32767. You know, that is just a historical trivia, but it's interesting and useful to know. Also, now you know the limit of rand, and the way you can get it is actually there is it's called max underscore rand, or rand max or max rand. You got to Google and find out. That number is basically whatever the maximum value rand can return is. Now, I believe it is 32767. However, in our case, it doesn't matter because what we're going to do is divide by 5 and take the remainder. And the remainder is going to be for sure what? Can someone tell me? No matter how big the number is, I'm going to divide by 5 and take the remainder. And what is the remainder going to be?
2-digit number?
No, not 2-digit. I'm going to divide by 5 and take the remainder.
Between 0 and 4.
Between 0 and 4 inclusive. Yeah. I don't know who said that. I wasn't looking at the screen. But it is between 0 and 4. So the remainder is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? All we need to do is just add 1 to it, and we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is everybody okay with that? Very simple one-line algorithm. Yeah, it's one trick really to generate a random number. We use a modulus operator. So on the next line, you're going to say, yeah, don't have a comment. You can just say, yeah, int my rand equals int, or int, yeah, int my rand, int.
Shouldn't we then just do modulus 6 instead of 5?
Yeah, I was thinking we should do modulus 6, okay? Because for 0, we should do the zap. You have 5 numbers, and then 0 will give you a zap. Yeah, yes, modulus 6, and then plus 1 will give you 0, 1, 2, 3. No. The modulo 6 will give you 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we want to have the 0 too, right? So my rand equals rand modulo 6, right? Open, close. Now these are bits that you should play around with more, just to get the hang of it. No parentheses. You just say rand. My rand equals, and then just say rand. No, not my rand. You just say rand, and then open parentheses, close parentheses, open, close. Yeah, oh, no, parentheses, open, close parentheses.
Around the rand.
No. After rand, and then
Oh.
open, close parentheses. Yeah. No. Get rid of the quotes. And type open parentheses and then close parentheses. No, not open parentheses. So you just type the open parentheses symbol. Do you know what the open parentheses is? We've done this before, right? So open parentheses is just like that.
Just like while true above.
Yes. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, this is a few times that I feel that classroom lecture actually helps, because the whiteboard and the marker that facilitates this additional form of communication. I wonder if I have but I can't use a stylus on the screen. Yeah. Okay. So how can I
Wait,
do
an
this?
open parentheses?
Open parentheses. Well, yeah. Well, maybe I just said open close. Open parentheses. Type in open parentheses.
Is that the one from line 19? Like,
No, line 20, just after while.
Or
The one
like
after while.
in main?
Shift 9. How about this? Shift 9. Type Shift 9.
There you
Oh,
go.
that's it.
Yeah. Get rid of the space before that. So go to the end, right? And then say modulus, right? This is the operator that you haven't used, and I don't think you have the opportunity to use that even in the quest. Modulus 6, okay? No. Modulus is a percent sign, right? Space, percent, right? Percent is Shift 5, yeah? And then space 5. No, 6, right? So that will give you, type the number 6 and then semicolon. All right. So now after we get the random number. Hey, by the way, Chris, you also have to be mindful of the next person to nominate, okay, after this. Because at some point,
Okay.
suddenly, you might say, I want to tag this person, right? And then that person has got to be ready. So everybody should be on the same page as what Chris is doing right now, all right? So, and put a few spaces and then start a comment. Oh, you already have that, okay. And then, but on the comment above, you say between 0 and 6, okay? I think that's more clear, okay? Between 0 and 6, not 1 and 5, 0 and 6. All right, enter. After on the next line, go to the next line. No, I think you can actually have that line back. I'm sorry. So all right, now you've got that. Now what we want to do is one more blank line and then say present the number to the user. Okay, present the number to the user, right? And within a comment, right? Within a comment, say present the number to the user. Yeah, present the number to the user. Right? On the next line, you're going to say C out, give me a followed by my rand. Yeah? C out.
As a comment.
C out. No. C out. Hey, Chris, you need a lot of practice, okay? Because these things should really be a lot more second nature to you by the time, by the time you're through with question number 2, which means you do have to practice quite a lot, because a lot of these things they should, or maybe you were actually more on the ball earlier, so I know what's going on, right? So C out, C-O-U-T, no, lowercase c, right? Lowercase c, and then space left shift. Yeah, left shift is 2 less than signs. Is everybody okay with this? All of this so far? Yeah. Right. So
Yeah.
now you can say within quotes, you can say give me a. Yeah, space. Right. And then after the quotes, you're going to left shift. After the quotes, left shift. Right. What is it? My rand. Right. And then what you want to do is after that, one more left shift. Okay, one more left shift. Put a space before that too, so it's nicer. Right. And now you're going to say, yeah, after that, you open your double quotes and then say colon space close double quote. Okay.
In this one.
On the same line, at the end of the same line, go to the very end of that line. Yeah. Right. Open double quote. Right. And within that, you say colon and then space. All right. Okay. So put a semicolon at the end. At the very end. No, at the very end of the line, put a semicolon. Yeah, right. A couple of blank lines. One more enter, 2 enters, right? 2 enters. Yeah, right. Now what we want to do is sample the clock, okay? So to start a comment saying sample the clock, okay? Or yes, sample the clock in milliseconds. I think it returns the time in milliseconds, okay? Sample the clock in milliseconds. Now, I believe, can you open another tab and just Google for C++ clock, okay? So you want to see what it returns, unsigned long or what is it? Yeah, click that. Clock T. It's a clock T. What, is it the number of milliseconds? It is supposed to be the number of, I thought it was the number of milliseconds. I thought it was the number of milliseconds. Anyway, clocks per second. Oh, it actually clocks per second. Okay. Well, we'll find out. Okay, we'll find out how many. We can find out how many seconds there are because we know how many clocks, how many ticks per second. Okay. I said keep this open. Don't close it. Go back to our tab. I thought it was just the number of milliseconds. If someone can confirm that by doing some independent research, is clock, what is the value of, what is the value returned by clock? Is it the number of milliseconds of the clock, or is it some weird value that we don't know? Because that page certainly didn't seem to explain that. Okay, right. Now you're going to say, on the next line, you're going to say clock underscore T. That is a type, okay? It is just like unsigned or something like that. They've defined it somewhere. And clock space, Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is where I start getting a little wary that maybe the terminology is getting through too much for CS2A week 3. But really, the thing that's pushing me on is that that's it. Okay, it is just some superficial stuff like clock T and all these things that look intimidating. I think you just have to get used to it and practice it and get beyond it. Other than that, everything is very simple logic. Everything that you learned last week, right? Plus that loop, that infinite loop that you have. Yeah. And I was on that thought before. So infinite loop, lots of instructors say don't use infinite loops, but everything has its place. You got to know where to break the rules. And sometimes using an infinite loop like this and actually breaking out of an infinite loop is actually more readable to other programmers than saying I'm never ever going to use infinite loops. Okay, that was a thought I was trying to say before that I forgot. Okay, so clock T space time TS_1, right? Timestamp _1, TS_1, TS_1. TS_1. Someone said something. Oh, it is milliseconds, is it? So I don't know. Someone said something. All right, equals.
Stack Overflow says you need to use chrono, std chrono instead of time. So I don't know.
Funny.
A different library.
Well, I see. All right, let's try this, and if it doesn't work, we'll switch to that, right? So thanks for that, Wesley. All right, so we should try that and then try Wesley's suggestion if it doesn't work, right? So space equals. And the other thing that, all programmers will actually get very good at is just doing research like this on the fly. You're doing something and you want to do something, you just open another tab and find out doing that. How do you do this in Python? How do you do it in PHP or JavaScript? You always, find out and incorporate that into your program, right?
Wait, is there a space after _T?
Where's
Or
underscore?
line? There's
No,
a
there is
space.
no, that looks all right to me. Clock
Oh, okay.
_T. Clock _T is a name of the type, like int or size T. Size T?
Okay,
Clock
okay,
T is
okay.
another size, something like clock. Because clock T is just like size T, just different size, that's all. Yeah? It's just another type. It's like an integer or something. Chris, are you good?
Yeah.
All right, okay. So equals clock is equals clock. CLOCK. Okay, open close parentheses after that. No, not quotes. You're always getting your quotes mixed up with parentheses. All right, semicolon at the end. Yeah, 2 enters, one more time. Yeah. And now you're going to say, what we're going to do is read what the user says. And as soon as you get what the users hit enter, and you're going to sample the clock one more time. So between the two, you know how much time the user took to enter. Okay. So that's what we're going to leverage in this game. Okay. All right. So, all right, so you say give me a. Oh, we got to change that because zap is just hit enter. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right, we're going to use an if statement there. Right. So TS1 equals clock. All right. Now we're going to say get line. Open parentheses. Now get line is something that you have to get used to. I think it is in the quests. But if it's not in the quest, you've got to find ways in which you can use get line in these programs and games that you program, right? Because it is one of the most useful functions. And it is a function that is also, likely to save you many hours of painful debugging. I know lots of students who use CN, leave the blank line in the buffer, and the blank, they add new line and it interferes with the next input, screws up your debugging, right? So get line is a useful function to know. It's just a tip, right? You can make a note of this. So you got to figure out how to use it and use it as many contexts as possible. That's all. All right. So get line CIN, comma, CIN, comma, space, and then say line. Okay, line. Right. Open, close the parentheses, and put semicolon there. Right. And then, copy that entire line 29 and paste it under that get line. Okay. Yeah. On the next line, paste it. Now change that clock TS2 to make that TS2. Right? And indent it properly. Clean up the indentation. Okay, and in fact, you can get rid of the blank line above get line so that you can actually sandwich that right between the two clocks. Yeah, okay. On the next line, after, yeah, there you go. Yeah, one more. And then you can say open comment and say time taken by user, equals TS2 minus TS1 clocks. Yeah, TS2 minus TS1 clocks. Yes or no? Is everybody okay with this so far? Right? And somewhere it tells us how many clocks are there in per second. Somewhere in there it says clocks per second. Yes? So we can calculate the number of seconds the user took to respond. Yes or no so far? Give me a thumbs up if everybody is okay with this. Or maybe we'll write one more line and then you can do a thumbs up. Okay? All right. So on the next line, you're going to say, yeah, elapsed time, and actually say float elapsed time, space, float space, elapsed time, elapsed underscore time equals, within parentheses, you're going to say TS2 minus TS1. Minus TS1. So we got that many. And then you want to say clocks per second time. So we have to multiply by clocks per second. No, you got to divide by clocks per second. So you got to divide by clocks per second to get the number of seconds. Okay. So you want to divide that. Yeah, divide the whole thing. After the parentheses. You want to divide by clocks underscore per second, all of them caps. Okay. Clocks underscore, all of them caps. All of them have to be caps. I think that's what the page said. Someone can maybe, verify that. If it doesn't work, we've got to find out how, what Wesley said about, chrono and all. But I put a semicolon after that. I believe at this point, we know how long the user took. Yes? Yes or no?
Yes.
Great. Okay. But, Paul is the only one who's responding. So
I think it may be clocks per second.
Oh, clocks per second. So it's a clocks per second. Yeah, it's a, hey, Chris, can you correct that to clocks per second? Great. No, and no plural. It's just, yeah, there you go. Okay, so now we know how much, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to compare what the user typed in line and to what we're expecting, right? And if it's not the same, we're going to say, that's it. Game ended. If it's the same, we're going to the next, right? So we keep doing that a certain number of times, and that gives you a scope for the next person to jump on and embellish it more, or even take this as homework and do a bit more interesting work on it. And I'll work with you on some of these things too, because it just gives you a lot of scope. You can say, well, you know what? Every time I do that, after 10 of these, I'm going to jump to the next level, which means you don't get to wait for 1 second anymore. You wait for 0.9 times 1 second. Only 90% of 1 second. 10 of those, you get 10 of those right, you jump to the next 11, and you can do all those things, and it'll be really nice and catchy. You can actually play it with the game, friends and other people too. And the funny thing is you can play it on a phone, you can play it anywhere on a phone, because you can actually get it on online GDB. No fancy ID required too.
Hey, Professor, may
Yes,
I ask a quick question?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
So I don't understand. What is that clocks per second? Is that a float?
Yeah.
Or is it a variable? Or where did you
No, it is a
click?
constant. It is a constant.
Oh,
Actually, hey, who has this other page? Chris, you had this other page, right? Go to the other page. We just Googled around and we found this. And it is a function call. And it says there, if you are going to include, it doesn't tell us what include file we should use. It doesn't say what include. Oh, C time. Is it, it's at the end, it says C time. No, on that page, on that page. On that page.
Should I change
Oh.
mine to that though? Clocks per sec.
I see that. I see
SEC.
that on the second. Yeah. Can you
Clocks
click that
per
one? Yep.
You can actually click that too. It'll just tell you what it is. You can click that and it'll tell you. I think clock T. Yeah, I'm pretty sure clock T is just going to be unsigned integer. Click clock T. I will probably say unsigned integer or something like that. Or maybe double. His clocks per second. That's funny. Arithmetic type. Also a fundamental arithmetic type. It doesn't tell us what it is. It doesn't tell us it's a double or a float or things like that. Maybe you have to keep clicking, click one more time. Clocks per second. It's just a cycle. It just keeps going back and forth. Oh, the type is unspecified. Okay, I see. That's why. All right. So I say different compilers can do it different ways, but it says it just has to be arithmetic compatible, which means it's got some numeric type, right? It's probably a size t, or it's probably a double or something like that. It's something that may add and subtract. We don't know what the type is, but we do know how many of those there are in 1 second. That's what it guarantees, right? That file says we don't know how many there are in this, but we'll tell you how many there are in 1 second, but we don't know, right? That's what it's saying. Is it
I
okay?
think that the type of clock per sec is a macro, which means that like when you compiled it, it just replaces it with text.
It replaces that with what?
Text, like macros, when they're compiled, it replaces the name of the macro with the text.
Oh, I see. One of them is a macro and it puts it to the other one. But ultimately, that will also resolve to something, right? Eventually, the macro changes to something else, and that changes to some type. Eventually, it has to go to a type, right? Otherwise, the compiler will not know how many bits to allocate for it. Yes?
What's the equivalent of like typing in like the number 10?
You can do that, but we don't know. We don't know if there are 10 clocks per second.
I think this
Like the
is,
type is inferred. Like
if I can
right
add,
now
I
it's
think this
saying,
is implementer defined. It depends on the speed of the CPU, how many clock cycles are required to fill 1 second of real time.
So what Paul is saying is that on different computers, the value of clocks per second is different. On a very fast machine, you'll have lots of clocks per second. A clock per second is how many times you have that wave, like, that bam, 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 bam. It's very fast wave inside of the ones and zeros. This has the cycles, I guess. Yeah, maybe it maps to the cycles of the CPU, like, Paul is saying. So it's different for different computers. If you go to a fast computer, you'll have lots and lots of clocks per second. If you go to a slow computer, you'll have a small number of clocks per second. So what we're saying is that we don't know what the value is. When you compile it, that machine that compiles it will know how fast that CPU is, and it'll insert the right value for clocks per second. I'm just starting to think that maybe this was actually overkill to introduce for CS2A, but I think it is okay, right? So we still have time, because I'm taking the luxury of time, because we have this week and next week to cover loops. So we can keep coming back to this again and again until everybody is really solid. But this is very important, because it is just the same as ratio and proportion and getting to grips with how numeric things are mixed around in programming in general. Okay, so here what we have is just a concept of, between the two, this is the number of clocks we've got between the two time events, and this is the number of clocks, those events, in 1 second. So using these two, you can find out how many seconds that thing took, right? Now, if this is not clear, someone should absolutely just take up this part, saying, hey, what is this thing about clocks per second? I don't understand it. Okay, and you can just write a 1 paragraph or 1.5 paragraphs on the Reddit forum. I didn't understand this. This is how I understand it. Just put your own understanding of it, and people will chime in, and everybody will get a much better understanding of what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is we want to find out how much time the user has taken, and we do that by computing two different clock values and dividing by, right? We got that many clocks. We want to divide by the clocks per second, and that gives you the total number of seconds the user took. Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. So I got one yes, right? Just give me thumbs up, all right? Maybe people are just feeling reluctant to speak up. Give me a thumbs up. No, yeah, not like this, but do like the Zoom thing, so it actually shows up very clearly. Great, okay. All right, so now let's go.
I'm a little bit confused about, I don't
Yeah.
understand this get line, CIN, comma line. What
Great.
is that?
Okay, and thank you, Andrew, for asking that, because that is the only thing we did not touch upon, right? Because previously we never used that. I don't know if we used it in the previous class, right? Get line says, when I'm talking to the user, basically go to the CN, right? I'm giving you a stream and I'm giving you a string variable. Take an entire string from the user, meaning from the beginning until they hit enter, that entire thing, and stuff it into a line. If you didn't do that, the default behavior is only take the first word and stuff it into the next string variable, right? Or take the next number. But the problem with that is that when you read CN right shift, it leaves things in the buffer. If there's lots of things in the buffer, an entire line, it'll just pluck the first word and the remaining things are still in the buffer. And that causes unpredictable behavior for people who think that I'm a human, I've given it a whole sentence, right? It only read the first word. but for the next sentence, it miraculously brought back memories of the remaining words in the previous sentence. That is kind of nonsense, isn't it? To avoid that confusion, the better way to interact with the user is always to interact on par with what the user is thinking. So when you're interacting with the user, one of the principles I think, of good user interface is that always do what the user thinks you're doing. So when the user has typed something and hit enter in their mind, okay, in their mind, when they hit enter, they think I've given the computer the whole line. Okay, that means you got to read the whole line. Now, whether you toss away the rest of it is up to you, but you got to read the whole line because that's what the user thinks. Okay, so get line gets you there, gets you the whole line. Otherwise, you don't know when the end is, right? Because
yeah. So my next question is, what is so I get that, and but what is line? Like that's the second
line
thing in
is
this
a string
function.
variable. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. We did not define it. Okay. So
Oh,
go
okay.
yeah, go to the beginning. Or go to line 21 and hit enter. Go to line 21 and hit enter. Yeah, enter, and then say string line. Line is a string there. Thank you, Andrew. Okay, string space line. No,
As
no,
a
not
comment,
string space line. Space line semicolon and then hit enter. Okay, so now get line is going to read a line from the user and put it inside of that variable called line. Is everybody okay with this so far? Great. Okay, so now let's go to line 36 and hit enter at the end of line 36.
do you mind if I pass it on?
Totally. Chris, thank you so much. Okay, thank you for tapping along. So tag someone and then pass it on. Hopefully that person has got all of this. Okay, so they don't have to share the link or anything, right? So pass it on.
Is Wesley here or?
No, you can't. If you do Wesley, you don't get any points. Okay, because Wesley's already done. Yeah, coding.
Okay. Andrew
McGee.
Okay.
Great. Okay, Andrew. All right, go for it. Thank you, Chris. Great job. Okay, but you got to practice more. Where's Chris gone? I think I lost him again. Hey, Chris, are you here? Oh, there you are. Okay,
Yeah.
you need practice. Okay, you need to code more in C++, and make sure you're on top of the ball. Okay, because these things you should not hesitate with some of these operators, because otherwise they'll get in the way of understanding some of these more more involved things like clocks per things and all, is a cycle and all. They're yeah. All right. Anyway, never mind. Right. So more practice. Great. Okay. All right. So here, what we're going to do is hit enter. Now I'm going to say if elapsed time is less than let's say we start with 1 second, right? Level 1. Okay. Level 1. Or we're going to increase the level. We're going to keep increasing. All right, here's what I'm going to try and do. Now tell me if you understand it. Otherwise, we're going to do it in a simpler way. All right. So if elapsed time is less than, put spaces on both sides of the less than, and then we're going to say is less than 0.9 to the power. Oh, geez.
0.9, you said?
Just going to say 1 second, right? We'll just say 1 second. We'll come back to this later, right? Just say 1 second. If it is less than 1, it's just 1. It's less than 1. Right? All right. So yeah, no complex stuff, right? Forget what I said before. We're just going to do it simple. But if it's less than 1, you say cout, hooray. Try again. No, for the next one. No, for the next one. No, we'll just do the same level many times. We haven't built the logic for the level yet, but we'll do that, now get ready for the next one. Get ready for the next one. On the same line. Hooray, get ready for the next one. And then what we want to do is, next one, and then an endl at the end, and the endl at the end. And then on the next line, you're going to say, sleep 1. Okay, this is kind of funny because there was a student in the past who actually said the injection of these sleep commands actually improved the user experience, right? Made it more. No, forget about sleep for now, right? We'll come back to this later. Just get rid of that. Yeah, get ready for the next one. I think that's basically it. Now get rid of the braces. We don't need the braces for the if statement, but we do need an else, right? We do need an else.
But we don't need these.
Hmm?
We
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
need that.
we don't need that,
Okay.
but we do need an else for the if statement. So yeah, else you're going to say no, else you can have curly braces for that because else will have a body. And I'll show you how to refactor this. And no parentheses for else, no parentheses for else, right? Space after the else will be nice. Yeah, space after the else. All right. So here you're going to say C out left shift, and also put spaces on both sides of the left shift so that kind of the line looks better.
Oh.
Yeah, there too, right? So C out a left shift. You're going to say alas, you were too slow, right? Alas, you were too slow. Alas, you were too slow. With space. All right. Now, and then after outside of that, left shift, you want to say elapsed time divided by 1,000 seconds, right? Elapsed time divided by 1,000. And then again, left shift one more time. And then space seconds, right? Now, I believe that it's going to print some big, like 0.5737, right? We've got to do set width and formatting later to make sure it's kind of clean. But for now, I think we'll, right. And then on the next line, you're just going to say break. Okay, that means you're getting out of this game, right? Break is getting out of the while loop. All right. You put a comment there saying break will exit the while loop, right? Put a comment at the end, right? On the same line as break, you can say break will exit the while loop, right? Because some people may not know that. Especially since the first time we're covering loops, any loop that you have, break has two functions, right? One is you can use this in switch statements. If you've done some research in, we did branching statements before, we'll get a chance to use switch statements later. Break is something that you can use in switch statements to say, well, you know what, in this complex statement, I want to fall out of this. We'll do an example later. That's one use. This is when you have a loop and you have a break statement in there. The moment it hits the break statement, it's going to jump out of the loop, skipping all of these statements below the break. Okay, that is a function that lots of people use break for. The opposite of break is there's another version of break, another statement called continue. When you have, and I'll show you how to refactor this, right? Continue says, I've done all this, I hit continue, I go back to the top again. So those are the two things that we're going to try and master for the while loop today. It applies to all of the loops, right? All of the loops and iterations that we're going to do for the next few weeks. These are the two kinds of ways in which you can control, going to the top and exiting the loop, right? So break will exit, right? So that's I think that's basically it. Now clean up the blank line on 47. Clean up the blank line on 47. And before the return, you can get rid of the blank line, right? And go to the end of 47 and hit enter. Right? One more enter. And you can say, oh yeah, and go up now, and go up and say, see out, thank you for playing Zap It, right? See out, thank you for playing Zap It. Now, there was something that we needed to do. Where's that number? All right, all right. So I'm going to increase the font size just a little bit. Okay, so sorry. Actually, maybe you can increase the font size just a little bit. Command. Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right. Where's that number? My rand. Okay. %6. Can you put spaces around the percent, the modulo operator? %6, right? %6. All right. Now, what we want to do is, all right. So here's what we want to do. If the number was 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, you want it to match exactly. Now, this is something that I can walk you through if you want me to do it, or if you guys want to do it by yourself, that is fine with me. I can just watch and I can steer you in the right direction from time to time, right? Here's what we want to do. We want to inject into the structure. We want to inject the branching statements, the knowledge of branching statements we've got before. This is what we want to do here. So we've got the random number, and the number is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Now, if it is 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, that is what the user's got to type, 5, enter, 4, enter, and so on. However, if it is 0, the user has got to hit just enter. That is zap it. Now, actually, you know what? We don't need to do that. We don't need to that. We'll do that. We'll save that for the next level, right? Or save that for the next person to code. We've got to do that branching statement. So now I think this should do, right? This should work. Shouldn't
I
it?
think there's a few things about this that won't work. First, this will not work, clocks per second. I tried to run it and it didn't do it. It gave me an error.
Oh, I see.
Also, on this online GDB, random gives a fixed value, I think.
Yeah. No, it doesn't give you a fixed value. It always gives you the fixed value the first time. Yes, we can change that. We can change that behavior.
Okay.
Yeah, every time you go through the loop, and I think we'll get more and more familiar and friends with random as we go through these lectures, because random is a special function.
Okay.
What happens is generating a random number with a uniform distribution is very hard. So what happens is that the library has a pre-generated list of a large number of random numbers in there already. Every time you call rand, it's just going to give you one number off that list, and it's going to advance the needle to the next number. So always it starts with the first number. So every time you call rand, you're going to get the first number. However, it is possible to tell the program as soon as it begins to shift that needle and throw it to a random place. So that, so that is called seeding the random number generator.
Okay.
So we'll do that later. So that is okay. What else? What else?
Well, I guess the biggest thing is also I have a question about the if. Would it not run if I put the curly brace
No,
for the if?
Yeah, put the curly brace. Yeah, put the curly brace there. Actually, it looks nicer because else.
Yeah, I was thinking that
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
aesthetic.
Put the curly brace and also put a space before the curly brace too. And in fact, I did this. One of the styles that you might like is that the else goes on the same line as the closing curly brace, right? Yeah, put it on the same line as but a space before that. Space before that, right? This is a pattern that lots of people prefer. I like it too, but you're welcome to use it the other way because I've seen the other kind of code too.
Okay.
I've managed to get the program to compile and run, but the scaling of the elapsed time may be wrong. I'm getting, for example, for TS1 2444 and for TS2 2402. And then
Yes.
well, I'm not sure what that is. That might be ticks as opposed to seconds.
I see. Can someone Google? You open a tab, Andrew, and type Google and go to Google and type current time in milliseconds C++. I think that is what we need. Okay, we want current time in milliseconds C++. Yeah. This is kind of calculate execution time. That's fine. Okay, let's look at that. See that, some of these things, it actually does annoy me too. That, some of these things are so straightforward and simple in other languages like Java and Python and JavaScript. But some of these very fundamental things are nasty, right? I wouldn't say difficult, but nasty and messy in C++. But I think giving it its due, I think it's got its nasty, messy pieces like that. But I can assure you, with my many years of experience with C++, that it is a small, limited subset, right? Don't let it scare you off. Just say it's not the whole of the C++. There's some stuff like that I need to get to understand, but the rest of it is actually beautiful, okay? So don't get thrown away by these things. We just need to figure out how to do this. How can we get millisecond time? We just need to get. Oh, we have to do the chrono thing. Yeah. All right. Let's do the chrono thing like Wesley was suggesting. This is what we want to do, right? Yeah. So go to the top, and type chrono. Go to the top and type chrono. And then if you go to the tab, they actually had an example, I think. Yeah. On a tab they had so auto, they're using auto. So auto means the funny thing is auto is this is bad programming practices for beginners. Okay, I don't want beginners to use auto because auto says here is a data type. I don't know what the type is going to be. That function returns a type. I don't know if it's an integer. I don't know if it's an unsigned integer. I don't know if it's a character or a float or a double, but I know it returns a numeric type. So I'm just going to say automatic variable. Now, that is sloppy programming in my mind in many cases, right? If you just use it without discipline, because it puts you in the mindset of a JavaScript or a Python programmer who doesn't care about basic types. Now, what we need to know is what is that type? Is it an integer or something like that? But in this case, we're going to fly with it and say, only in this case, don't use auto in other cases, especially in quests, okay? So you should use the exact type in quests. Even if it's a long type, you should know how to type the long type out. Yeah, later on, when you're a professional, you can use auto to save time, but not as a student. As a student, you should type out the whole thing. Don't use auto. So let's go to what have they got on that page? On that page? Yeah, copy that entire line. Copy that entire line. Triple click on. Yeah, copy that. No, just the top line should do. Top line. Yeah. Now put that there. Put it in.
Where?
Where you elapse? No. TS1. For TS1, and instead of clock type, we're going to say auto TS1. Auto TS1.
Oh,
Right?
sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, you change started to auto, change started to TS1 and get rid of clock TS1, right? So we don't need clock. Yeah, for some reason I thought clock was the answer this morning. Maybe I just asked, Google or something, and they said, you should use clock.
And should I get rid of this STD because I already have it here?
Oh, you have it?
Well, this is standard. What is this STD?
No. So that is a namespace.
Oh,
SC std is not related.
all right. Yeah, I meant this using namespace STD.
Oh, but no, maybe you're using endl and other things that you don't have qualification for std there. Like you're using cout and you don't have std : cout.
Yeah. So it's okay if I get rid of the
Oh,
STD
you can. Oh,
here.
I see. You were saying you can get rid of std there.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. And you want the same line? Copy the whole line for TS2 also. Now I think. And go to that page. We want to find out what is it? What are they doing? Auto TS2 minus TS1. What are they doing on that page? No, you got TS2 already. You got TS2 already. Go to that page, the other page. What are they doing? Minus. Oh, duration cast. Why do they make these so messy? You copy that line too. Copy that line too. Yeah. That whole line. Copy that whole line. It's really ugly. Ugly is the word. Right. Now go to that float elapsed time, right? So paste that instead of float elapsed time, you want to say float go to the previous line and paste the whole thing that we have. Yeah, go to the whole previous line. Yeah, what is it? See, duration cast, chrono milliseconds. Holy cow. This is enough to scare away beginners. Yes, okay. So I can see what they're doing. But why do we have to do it so complicated? All right, here is a homework problem, extra credit for you guys, okay? Now, whether you guys think it is unsightly or not, okay? I think it is totally unsightly that in order to calculate the difference in time between two events, we got to do something so ugly. Now, it should be so simple. And I bet there is a simple way to do this. Now, I'm going to give extra credit to anyone who's going to take the time to do some research. In fact, how can I do some simple calculation of something that happens in C++ at the millisecond level? There's got to be ways. We go to Stack Overflow in many places, and it's not going to be beyond what we've done so far, up to the lecture number 4 or whatever it is. You got to look at some Stack Overflow pages, and and you know what we're trying to do? We're trying to see how long it took for the user in milliseconds. We just need to find out. Now, fault is actually mine because I just took it for granted that clock will work, and I just came to the lecture unprepared. So if I had more foresight, what I should have done is before class, I should have tested out what clock does so that I know what the hell goes on. So I wouldn't have wasted your time so much. But hopefully, I'm hoping anyway, that all of the time that we tried fiddling around with clock and all these things was not a total waste. Did you guys get anything out of our struggle to figure out how to get the time taken by the user? Now, was this a waste or not? Give me a thumbs up if you think it was not a waste, okay? Give me a thumbs up, the Zoom thumbs up, right? The Zoom thumbs up if you think it was okay, you learned something from it. Well, not just Paul, okay? Paul is always, all right. So all of you, how about the other guys, okay? Was this useful so far? Yeah? Okay, all right. So I'm seeing a fair number of thumbs ups there. All right, so here it is. So what we'll do, we're gonna do something, okay? And this is what hackers do. Maybe all right. So on cout, get rid of that float elapsed time. Get that line, float elapsed time. Get rid of that line. Get rid of the line. Now, what we'll do is C out, and then after that count, and no, get rid of the semicolon, get rid of the semicolon, and say left shift, and within quotes you say units of time, right? It's units of time, and then put a space before the units of time. Right, put a space before the units of time, and then endl at the end, endl after the end, right? Yeah, endl, and then before that, the first left shift, say you took, right? And then you took, and then within quotes, yeah, a capital Y, I think, capital Y, right? And is that within quotes? Yeah, all right, great. Now after that C out, just say exit 0. And put, and say, this is just going to be a test. We want to run it once, just see if we're getting something reasonable in that C out line, right? Exit, open parentheses, 0, open parentheses, 0. And then semicolon at the end, semicolon at the end. No, exit 0, that's it, right? Semicolon at the end, and then put a comment there, at the end of that exit, yeah, and say, for debugging, we're just going to exit the loop at this point, right? Which is temporarily. All right. So these are the troubles of debugging things in some online debugger like this. But they actually do have a debugger. We haven't tried it. But sometimes if you don't have access to a debugger, this is how you debug things, by putting cout statements in different places and so on. Okay. I think it's a useful skill to know, even though we have fancy debuggers. So if you run it now, does it run? Oh, I see. TS2 minus TS1. I'm sorry. TS2 minus TF1. It actually does take that and make that a lapsed.
Oh,
Oh, we don't have elapsed time. Oh,
Yeah.
I see. I see. TS2 minus TS1. Change elapsed time to TS2 minus TS1. Don't forget about a new variable and all. Just change that to TS2 minus TS1. I think it's TS underscore 2 minus TS underscore 1. One more. What? No. No. At the top was the error. Increase the size of the console. We'll find out what it is. Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, we actually do need that elapsed thing. And we will play with this ugliness for a second. Where is this thing gone? TS2 chrono cost. All right, okay. So what we want to do is get rid of that C out you took for now. Oh, no. Copy that whole thing from chrono until count, and cut it from there. On the previous line, cut it. A previous line, enter, and say a float elapsed time equals that thing. If this doesn't work, yeah, we're close to time. Did we have that? Yeah, all right. Now, and then there you need elapsed time. Is everybody okay with what Andrew is doing? Yeah? Right, now, yeah, all right, run it. Thank you, Andrew. I saw you fixing these other things. Right, now, no, wait for a second, okay? We'll give it some time. Give me a 1. Oh, how come it has a colon after the A and then a 1?
Oh, that's just my bad writing.
Oh, don't worry.
probably.
Okay, we'll put the colon after 1 later on. Now type a 1 and hit enter. Now let's see. All right, 20758 milliseconds. Was it 20 seconds? Do people think it was 20 seconds?
No way.
All right, do it one more time. We'll hit it immediately, and we'll see if we get a. The thing we should do is really, yeah.
That's
Okay.
about 1 second, right? So that's fine.
So it does seem like it is milliseconds, okay? Because that is what the documentation said, that whatever that thing is, what you're using, chrono milliseconds, it takes that count and turns it into milliseconds and returns it as a millisecond.
So if I get rid of this exit, then it will give me this.
Yes, you can get rid of the exit now. But I actually totally regret having started this project today, because it launched us into these things, which, okay, they are useful, but they expose the ugliness of C++ before the beauty. You know, everything has beautiful sides and ugly sides, but it's important for us to see the beautiful side first, I think, so that we can, you know, stomach the ugly side. But don't let this turn you off from C++, okay? There's a small bit of, you know, nasty stuff like this that I also look in, you know, Stack Overflow and try to understand, and then try to apply syntactic sugar to make it as beautiful as possible. We won't do that more, okay? I think from next week onwards, we'll try and figure out an easy and elegant way to do these things, so that we'll just swim through all of the code that we have to write, and spend more time on the concepts and understanding these things rather than on the details.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, why is it exiting the while loop, even though I'm not doing this?
Oh, hang on.
Oh, it's because I'm doing more than 1 second. So if I do this, it should work.
Oh, by the way, before you do that, you know, let's figure. Give me a my rand, but on line 27, you put a colon before. Put a colon before the second, the space thing, the at the end, the last. Yeah, put a colon after the number. Not there. Inside the double quotes. Okay, all right. And then you don't need a space after that because it won't show. Okay, I think this will look much better. Give me a 1, give me a 2, and so on. Oh, you don't have a space after the, oh, so it turns out we do need the space. Yeah. All right, sorry. You took 1.58 seconds to do that? Try it one more time. So you got to figure this out. We have time to debug this anyway. We got 8 minutes before end
Well,
of
I think there's a more serious problem, because even if I do something like this,
Mhm.
and I definitely take less than that amount of time, it still ends the,
Oh, it still ends it?
no. So,
Professor.
oh, it's because the lapse
Yes.
time is not divided by 1000. That's the problem.
I wanted to ask, when we say elapsed time is less than I wrote elapsed time is less than 1, and yet if I finish it within 0.394 seconds, it still exits out of the game.
Yes, and I think that's what Andrew was saying. It's because it's a mismatch between
Yeah,
seconds.
see, so it works now.
Seconds and milliseconds. So you got to convert that
Oh.
from seconds. What is it? Milliseconds to seconds. Oh yeah. Hey Andrew, did you just divide the thing by 1000?
I did, yeah. I divided it here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And I just took more than a second at the last moment.
Do it now. Do it now. Let's play the game.
Okay.
Increase the size of the console too, so that it's bigger.
Sure. If I do that now, it will end.
Yeah. Now you'll lose the game.
That's okay.
All right.
But also, this is a
Hey,
pattern.
We got
right?
the basic shell of the game. Now this is something that you can embellish more for the remainder of today, tomorrow. And the thing is, what I would like to see is that this thing completely forgotten about until Thursday or even the end of the week, and you come back to this. No, it's programming, most art, if you're getting seriously into this, doesn't work that way. You got to do it every day. So this is something that has a lot of scope for developing into your own game, right? Now, some of the things I'm going to suggest are, one of the things you can do is that you can incorporate, first of all, you can do some more prettification. You can put lots of stars saying next level starts, star, hooray, all those things. That's okay. You can knock yourself out doing that because that's fun, right? The other thing you can do is, you have to do anyway, is that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you have to choose a 0, then instead of give me a 0, it should say give me a zap. Okay, just like in the Bop It thing.
Mhm.
So if it is a 0, it should say give me a zap, and the response from the user should not be 0, but it should be a blank string. Just hit enter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you hit the numbers, and then you get give me a zap, you got to hit enter without any number. Now that's, injects a little bit of variation and a bit of a challenge. So you just have to keep on top of it. Now that change, in order to incorporate that change, you got to bring in that branching statement knowledge from the previous class. Now we can do that in class, obviously, either on Thursday, at the beginning of Thursday, or right now even, or, between now and Thursday, if you guys want a special class, maybe tomorrow, let me know. We can have, a live session where we can code that into the game. But that is one of the things that we need to do. Oh, and the other thing is that 10 times, if you manage to go through that 10 times without getting kicked out, right? Each time you got it within, right? The next level starts. Meaning if you've done it 10 times, you should print lots of stars and saying, hooray, advance to the next level. And the next level, you only get to wait for, that times 0.9, that raised to the power of times 0.92 squared point. Basically, you need to come up with some geometric progression or something that keeps reducing it, right? Times 0.9 each time. So first 1 second, and the next time is 900 milliseconds, 8100 or something like that. Okay, 810 milliseconds and so on. So it keeps reducing, so it gets more and more challenging. So as soon as you see the number, you got to hit it. All right, and then /A, by the way, if you want to inject /A into any of the C out, you'll get a bell sound, bam, like that, like a bell sound. So that's something you can play with also in the game. So if you want to, so if the user has got the right number, you can say a bell sound. Otherwise, something else, right? So you can play with these things.
Professor, I had another
yes.
question.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I missed it, but when I ran it, I don't
Mhm.
think there was like exiting the game if you entered the wrong number. Like they asked for 4 and you entered a 3. Did I miss that part in the code, or?
That's not part of it.
Oh, I see. Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. Did you get that? Hey, Andrew.
Yeah, that's not, we didn't add that yet.
We have to add that. Yes, thank you, Caitlin. Oh, I totally missed that. Yeah. You can enter any junk and you can just give any response and we'll just send you through. All right. Okay. So you got to do what Caitlin mentioned. Okay. And you can put a to-do there saying you got to fix this and also check if the user input the right number. Okay. And in the process, you can also say zap it, right? If it's a 0, that should be a blank. It should be zap. So 0 is a zap, and then when it's a 0 and when they hit a zap, you can you can print a line of stars just to say they got the zap right? So yeah, something different like that, and it'll be fun. And I think that when you have this working, it is a game that kids, really young kids in your relatives, maybe, right? They might have fun playing with it, one or two times at least, because it is a game that will appeal to people with quick reflexes, like little kids.
Also, this is a pattern, like we were talking about earlier. It always is 1, 4, 3, 1, and so on.
Oh yeah. All right, we want to change that. Okay.
Yeah.
Go to the top of main, right to the beginning of top. After before the while true, right? In fact, there you go. Oh yeah, there you go. That's fine. You can do it there. Hit enter one more time and then go up under the C out. In fact, go above the C out even, right? Yeah, there you go. One more. Yeah, there you go. Right. And on the next line, you can say srand, open parentheses. Again, one more of an ugliness that you just have to get used to. You just have to understand this. You don't have to understand this. You just remember this and use it. You know what this does and use it. It is ugly. I agree. Okay. So inside of that, you're going to say unsigned within parentheses. Right. And outside of the parentheses, the first parentheses.
Oh, so I need to put this in parentheses as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then outside of the first one, you're going to say time.
With a space or just?
Space time. And then the parameter to time is going to be null pointer. Okay, nullptr. We haven't even covered pointers and stuff like that. No, nullptr.
Oh.
Yeah. Right now, after the semicolon, put a couple of spaces and then start a comment. Say seeds the random number generator to get different randoms each time the program is run. Right now, you want to know what this line does, and get rid of and put a blank line. Oh, get rid of the blank line. Oh, put a blank line after that, and then get rid of the blank line after the cout. There you go. In fact, you can stick the cout to the while too. I think it might look better that way.
Stick it to a while.
Yeah. Now, you can do some research, any of you, right? Do some research into what that srand thing does. Because I know in question number 6, there's instructions about, don't call srand in your program and all. Just do a little bit of research into what it does and how it gives you the random numbers and what the effect of srand is. Now you run it each time, you get different sequence of numbers. You won't get it 1, 4, whatever that number sequence that Andrew reported before, like 4, 3, 1. You run it now, you'll get different numbers each time. Take longer than 1 second, and we'll see if it. Oh, I see. Okay, 3 seconds. Oh, it seems to be working. It seems to be working. Now, after about 10 of those runs, you should actually reduce the time from 1 second to 0.5 or something like that. Because I think the reaction time should be much smaller. So maybe you can use that geometric progression. Start with 1 second times 0.75. The next level should reduce the time by 0.75, and the next level after that 0.75 more. So the time to react gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And you can surface that information too. When the person, loses the game, you can say, you took 0.375 seconds, but I was expecting you to do it under 0.25 seconds, right? And that's the end of the game. So all of that is useful information that will be fun for people to read when they see and run the program. It's actually a functioning program that we managed to write. Although it is not the full, Zapit game that I dreamed of in my head, because of all these, hiccups that we ran into. But certainly we can play with this again on Thursday, right? Take this to the next level. If not, we can try something else on Thursday, which does, well, you know what, the animation things that I was talking about, we can do it next week also, because that is also supposed to be looping and structures, arrays and so on. This is week 4. Week 4. We have to, I was thinking of talking about arrays on week 4 functions. We'll see how it goes, okay? But we have lots of time. We have lots of time for all of these things. But I would like to see research on how come there's a blank line after counter plus plus. Oh, you're in the middle of working on this.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. No, that's fine. I thought, this was the code that we had before. But this is fantastic. This is fantastic. We actually did get something that is working, and it is not too complicated, except for the admittedly ugly bits, okay? Which I actually say it's ugly. So you don't have to get turned off by this and say, this is C++, I'm not going to learn C++, okay? So the instructor has told you that this is a program, despite a bunch of ugly bits in it, has lots of useful and beautiful bits too. So just get past the ugly bits and ask people, what does this mean? And so on and so forth. We'll all be happy to, help you with this, including the tutor, even if you go to the STEM Center, I think. But if you get past it, the logic is very simple and straightforward. It uses a while loop to do the same thing over and over again. It's an infinite loop, and it breaks out of the loop in certain conditions. That's useful to know. Do some research into continue also. Break is this, do some research into continue. What does continue do? It's useful to know, right? And how you can refactor this code to work with continue instead of break. We can try that next class too, right? Same logic, redone differently. In fact, the next person who takes this on and codes exactly the same thing, we can try to do this using continue. In a layout is different, and on Thursday we'll do the same thing. And hopefully on Thursday we'll get the same thing because we've already got it working and figured out all the hiccups. On Thursday, whoever starts coding it, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get be done with it in 10 minutes. Lots and lots of people can code the same thing. Okay, not like today when Chris and I had to work on this for a long time, and then Andrew, and then we had to figure out what this clock thing was. Wes had to do some research. It was a bit of a pain, right? All of us, we all had a lot of pain, like Chris and Wes and me and Andrew, but it was all worth it, I think, at the end. Dre, you also coded today, yes? You were not, someone wanted to nominate you, the first person to code. Oh no, you nominated someone. Right? You started the chain off, and then, all right.
Yeah.
You nominated Chris. I remember.
I have another question, Professor.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I noticed we use this colon a lot.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Okay. All right. : in this context, it means that it is a namespace just like standard. Okay.
Alright.
It's a namespace like standard, which means that suppose you have a variable inside of your namespace called duration cast. In this case, it's not a variable, it's actually a template, right? Forget it. Maybe they have a variable called duration cast. Now, if they say I have a variable called duration cast, but it's inside of this namespace, that means other people can also have the same variable name. But it won't conflict with this variable having the same name because it's part of this namespace. The namespace is basically saying, make my variable unique by prefixing Andrew or Chrono or something in front of it, so it's different from everybody else's of the same name. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
No, not think so. Because the Chrono, the people who developed the Chrono library said, well, there's going to be a bunch of functions, variables, all of these things inside of this library that people that use this library can use. However, we don't want us to constrain other people from using the same names in their own code. Therefore, we're going to say all of our variables belong to this namespace called Chrono, just like, system variables. Some of the system variables belong to the namespace called standard std.
Right, so I guess in that case, so high resolution clock belongs to Chrono.
Yes,
and then
yes.
now belongs to high resolution clock.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that is correct. And for the record, I don't know if these are actually, I'm guessing they are namespaces, but technically they don't have to be named. That syntax will also work for something called classes and static classes or nested classes inside of them, right? So I think that syntax works for other things, but in this case, I'm pretty sure it's namespace, just like standard. So don't get spooked by that. Again, some of these things like the SRAND and the time, high resolution clock, Chrono, and all these things, it is actually just useful to look at it once and say, well, it's ugly, but I remember the pattern. So enough to Google it next time and just copy and paste into my code. You don't have to understand the details unless you really have to. Because, if you really have to, you can dig into the details and find out how it works. But it's not worth your time to memorize the whole thing. You can just copy and paste it from Google like we did today. It'll work most of the time. But the important thing is to just get used to seeing it, okay? If you don't get used to seeing it, the risk that I have seen in many C++ programmers, I think, is just saying, well, this is just Greek and Latin. And that is the reason I don't learn C++ because there's all these things that I don't understand. And the irony and the tragedy is that it's just the tip of the iceberg, and underneath it's all cool. It's all the same as all the other programming languages, really, right? It's just syntax. Syntax is a superficial structure, and that's different. Is everybody okay with this so far? I think we covered a lot of stuff. We are over time. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you, Sanatan. Right, and I hope did you all find this useful? Right, we just covered one form of looping, and we used that in a real structure to in an application to see how we can get looping to work. And we actually ran a little application that uses looping. Now, next week we can, and on Thursday we can play with different forms of looping. Try this again, maybe. And we play with other forms of looping, like for loops, right? For loops, and use different forms of looping to see how we can leverage that. But I think this is. But in the meanwhile, you should basically do some research on your own, right? Look at all of the topics in the action plan in Canvas, which lays, while loops, plus operator, minus operator. What is the difference between plus and minus? What is the difference between I++ going on this side versus that side? Okay, we didn't cover that at all. So we'll cover that next week on Thursday. But before that, you should do some research into what is a for loop, what is a this kind of loop, what are the different kinds of looping structures that I can use in C++. Some of you already Python programmers or some of the language programmers, you'll be able to say, oh, this is what a for loop equivalent of a Python for loop is. So you'll be able to see these and mix and match and compare and contrast and understand these things much more easily. On Thursday, we'll try and use a different form of looping to re-implement the same thing, right? We'll try and re-implement the same thing. Someone please share this URL in the forums, and then I'll also take a look at it hopefully before Thursday and see if we can re-implement the same thing again on Thursday using a different looping structure, right? Even cleaned up a little bit. I'll see if I can clean it up a little bit. Meaning, this unsightly structures, constructs. Maybe if there's a better way of doing that. Hopefully, by following the advice that some of you leave in the forum, saying, "Hey, I did a bit of research into how we can clean up that code and not use the chrono or some, this convoluted things, and this is how you can do it." Right? And then I'll read that and say on Thursday we'll use that. Right? We'll do what Wendy posted, saying instead of chrono we can do this. Okay, we'll follow Wendy's hack and we'll do that on Thursday. Something like that. Anyone can do that. So by the end of Thursday, you should be completely comfortable with different forms of looping. Okay, and because a lot of this will be tested in the midterm also. In the midterm, you'll have questions like this loop rewritten as that loop. Are they the same or not? Right? And you find out one is while, the other one is for. And there's corner cases, does it actually go all the way to I++, go to the end and so on? So you got to practice, figure it out and say, well, this is exactly what happens when I use I++ versus ++I. And these things will only come with experience and practice. And you got to figure out this game, many other games, variations of this game that you develop with your brother or sister or cousin, a friend, play with someone else, different forum, each one implement from scratch, and a different way, hopefully, right? Try and do it, one using for one place, while another place, do while another place, learn of all of these types. All of these will give you points in the midterm. And it'll be super duper useful because each one will have its place. And then when you come across a situation where you have to use a particular kind of structure, you won't try and fit another structure in that place to do its job. That is the worst kind of thing. If you, among professional programmers, for example, there are many professional programmers, unfortunately, who don't know computer science or don't know proper computer science, but just know how to put things together and it works. And that kind of programmer, unfortunately, what will happen is that they'll get things to work by shoehorning things into things that are not meant to be used for something, but will nevertheless still do the job. Okay, but it's heavy duty for doing that. They'll just get it to do it. It'll be more expensive, burn more carbon, but it'll get the job done at the end of the day. And if you have a lot of money, you won't even notice that money is being wasted. And so, but sloppy programming will do these things. But good programmers will actually know. All of the different ways of doing things. Then well, this has a particular contour, right? I don't need to use this structure and shove it into place. I'll use this one that exactly fits in that place, right? So your engineering will be perfect. You won't have any gaps and everything, and it'll be, the product will have this finished feel to it, rather than squeezed into place, bulging in different places, like software projects. Yeah. So those are the things that you'll naturally avoid by getting to the bottom of these things. And I have to insist on that, emphasize that, because you can get through CS2A, many computer science courses, all the way to the end, and not actually learn any of these things, and get a job too, because of your degree or whatever it is. You get a job, and you'll do the job too, because you're working for a multinational with lots of money. They may not care about the bottom line. So you may do inefficient things. And the tragedy is that because you're doing inefficient things in a place that doesn't care, or has the luxury of not caring, you'll never find out. And so you need to get to the bottom of this, and then you'll actually know, right? You'll just get a nose for inefficiency, right? So that is what thinking like a computer scientist, essentially, right? You just have a nose for inefficiency. So as you're coding, you'll actually see, well, you know what, it's bugging me. I have to go back to it and tighten it up. Otherwise, it's not, you can't sleep. And so once you get that feeling, that's it, right? You don't have to really consciously keep polishing. You'll do that out of self-interest naturally. But getting that feeling is what everybody is shooting for, I think, right? And it is within reach of everyone, okay, who just keeps practicing every day. That's all it is. That's all it takes, okay? Practicing every single day. Even if you believe that, it's not 10 days practice didn't get me anywhere, doesn't matter. Do it every day. All of a sudden you'll find, wow, okay, all right, all of these practice, everything clicked into place in one day, bam, like that, okay? It just happens. I've seen it happen for so many people. See, I've actually seen it happen for so many people, okay? Just believe in yourself and just keep practicing, and you see it just falls into place one day, okay? So that's all it is. Before the midterm, I'll give you another warning, okay? These are the things that you need to focus on. We got 2 more weeks for the midterm. I'll give you the list of topics that you need to focus on for the midterm. And also specific things like in these programs, and I'll, before the midterm, the Tuesday before the midterm, we'll just do a sample class where I just walk you through little problems, like 2-line problems, lots and lots of people, very similar to the midterm, like saying, oh, you know what, this what is the output of this loop with the plus plus. Now the next person, all right, we move the plus plus to this side. What is the output of that loop? Right, this if statement and so on. So I can do that on the Tuesday before the midterm too. So you'll have a lot of practice for these things. But before you get to that, you need to be completely conversant with all these basic things. So take your time. Now, hopefully you've balanced all your courses by now, right? So you have a lot of time for CS2A. Take your time, get through all of these things, and ask any questions you have, right? And then we'll help you get to where you want. Now, say hi in the chat before you go, if you haven't done that already. But otherwise, I'm quite happy to see you all. And I do hope that you will come back on Thursday, and then we'll try and take looping to the next level, right? And we'll see if we can try and jazz this program up a bit more. Was it okay? Now, hopefully all of you will take versions of this program and post it and saying, this is my version of Zapit, my version of Zapit, right? Share lots and lots of versions of Zapit on the forum. And you can also put in your reflections saying, hey, this was my version of Zapit. I implemented on Tuesday, right? So do that and post it. And I will actually try and play it too. And I'm actually looking forward to this.
Oh, Professor, could I ask you a question about after class about one of the Genius things, or the what are those called? The nonlinear
Quest?
media thing. Yeah, Quest. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but if it's a question that'll benefit lots of people, you can just ask right now too.
Okay, yeah, sure. I actually posted about it on the Reddit already. I seem to be able to run the tests fine on my local machine, but can't get it to.
Okay, all right. I saw that post, and you wanted to know, can we get more information on the tests themselves?
Yeah, so I looked into that thing you sent, but I did not really understand
So
what I was reading.
no information on the test, unfortunately. You got to figure it out. You got to figure it out. It's like a puzzle. There's not a whole lot of cases, but yeah, but you got to figure it out, all of
Right.
them.
So yeah, I guess my question is then, like, I'm able to run it completely fine with my local machine. Like, I get exactly the output I would expect. But then when I upload it,
Right. So when I look at the output that you had posted,
yeah.
I think it was out of place. I think you had a new line somewhere.
Right, so I changed it and now I'm just getting back like it seems like memory locations.
Seems like memory location. You're getting
Yeah. I can show you the output I'm getting.
No. In fact, better than that, you can actually share the output on the forum. And
Okay,
people can respond. I can respond too. And
Okay.
lots of people who are not in the lecture today can also benefit from that. You share the output, especially if it's not seen before and some puzzling kind of output. You can say, hey, what the hell does this mean?
Okay, yeah, I'll make a new post about it then.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Fantastic. Any other questions? Thank you, Andrew. Okay. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Chris. Was it only Chris and Andrew? Only 2 people coded today?
No, also Dre and
No,
someone.
Dre nominated someone.
Oh,
Dre nominated Chris, and Chris nominated you.
No, there was another
It's
person before
Mazen.
that. Yeah, Mazen.
Who? Oh, Mazen
Mazen was first.
Yeah, Mazen was first. Oh, I see. Dre nominated Mazen, Chris, and Chris, Andrew. All right, okay. It's kind of cool. All right. So and Paul helped out a lot in the middle when we were stuck. So thank you, Paul, for that too. I hope to see all of you on Thursday. Okay. And then either if you have an idea for your own game, we'll do something similar. Your idea on Thursday. Otherwise, we'll take this. I try and take that to the next level too. Right. I'll see you all on Thursday. Have a fantastic couple of days and keep hacking, and I look forward to seeing your posts on this and many other things on the Reddit. See you later. Bye.
Thank you. Have a great day.
See you later.
Bye.
Good night.
Professor, could I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure. What's up?
While we were talking, I kind of redid the Zapit code and I tried to make it so that the level changes. And I think I kind of got it, but there is kind of an issue. I was wondering if you could just look it over and find it out.
Sure. Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see a screen. Dismiss the blue part. Yeah. Oh, no, no. Now the
Yeah.
font's gone too small. The font's too small now. Dismiss the blue part. Dismiss the blue part. Yeah, dismiss the, yeah. All right. Great. Okay. I can see the screen now. But
Yeah,
so
so
where have you got the level?
I've got it here. I used the counter, and then since I want to have multiple levels, I did it not as it equals 10, but if it's
Oh, where's your,
divisible by
where's your
10.
counter? Where's your counter?
Oh,
Oh,
it's
yeah, level
up here.
is the counter. Oh, I see. Level and then counter. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I did that, except I think I'm having issues with my elapsed time because as you can see here, I did 10 and then it said level up and it decreased to negative 0.1 seconds, which is not right.
Oh, I see. No, wait a sec. Which line? Oh, I see. Line number 48 for 49.
Oh, I meant like in the output. I played the game and
Oh,
then
I
did
see.
it
I
10,
see.
10.
I see. Don't say level. Yeah, don't say elapsed time minus equals 0.1.
Mhm.
Because if you subtract something, it could go negative. Yeah. However,
Oh,
you can say elapsed time. What is it? What is elapsed time, by the way? Oh,
right
I
here.
see. You're taking the elapsed time and subtracting 0.1 from it. You're reducing the time they actually took to compare it. I see. Right. So that is that is the less desirable way to do that. The better way to do that is to keep the elapsed time constant. Don't change that. Don't change that.
Mhm.
However, change the time permitted to a smaller time. So you start off with 1 second. For the next
Uh-huh.
level, you're going to start off with 1 times 0.9 seconds. That's 0.9 seconds.
Okay.
The,
So
the
if
second
I-
level, the third level, you're going to start with 1 times 0.9 times another 0.9. So each level, you're going to multiply by 1 more 0.9. The amount of time you got starts with 1 second, right? Is go to the top, go to the top, go to the top. Go, yeah. Where you say after string line? No, wait, one sec. One more, a little bit more, Level 1. Okay, all right. Under int level, hit enter and say float time permitted equals 1, right? 1.0. Right? And then put a comment at the end saying 1.0 seconds in the first level, 1.0 second allowance in the first level. In level 1. Yeah. Get rid of the counter. I don't think you need the counter.
Okay.
Yeah, get rid of it. Now go down to you got the elapsed time. That's good. That's good. Right? Now get rid of the blank line under find a float elapsed time. Now, if elapsed time is less than, oh, and you're dividing by 1,000, that's good. Elapsed time. Why are you less than 2?
Oh yeah, that was from class.
Oh, I see. So what you want to do is elapsed time is less than time permitted. Okay, less than time permitted. Okay, all right. So now the first time it'll be 1 second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now at the end of the when you up the level, you want to say time permitted equals time permitted times 0.9. So the next time around, time permitted will be only 90% of time permitted. Star equals 0.9. Star equals 0.9. Right?
Mhm.
Now a time limit decreased to you want to say time permitted, not elapsed time.
Okay.
And then
but
get
we
rid of the
keep
blank line
elapsed
on
time.
54. Get rid of the blank line on 54. All right. If it's not the then zap. All right, and you break. Else you can get rid of the line, a blank line on 58 also. Else. Oh no. Else too slow. Why do you say too slow?
This is if here the first else is if the first
Oh,
else.
I see. Yeah. I see. Got it. All right. Okay. Yeah, I got it because the first if statement got the correct time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But you can refactor it to make it look more. Sometimes you got to rearrange the logic to make sure group the logic together so that things stay. Yeah. But okay, I understand it now. Good. All right, great. All right, good. I think that should work, yes?
Okay, yeah. Then, oh, and we're allowed to share our codes on Reddit.
Yeah, totally. You
Okay.
share the code.
Yeah,
you can-
I
if you
read
share the
something in
code,
the
it'll look, you know,
syllabus.
the code itself, if you just copy and paste the code, it'll look really ugly. You got your
Oh.
Reddit posting has got code block style. You got to select code block style, otherwise it won't look formatted properly. But you can also share the link to online GDB. So you can say, click that and you can play the game too.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah?
Thank you,
All right,
Professor.
great. Good job. Good job.
Yeah.
You can also, put stars and make it all pretty. And, when level up, you can put stars, bam, like all of those things. Knock yourself out. Okay. Have fun. And
Okay.
play with your family and other people in your home too.
I will. Yeah.
All right. See
Thank
you
you,
later.
Professor.
Bye.
Have a good night.
You too.